Welcome to the channel, where we explore the history of people, places, things, and events in 10 minutes or less. This episode will focus on George Washington. George Washington, the first president of the United States and one of the founding fathers, played a crucial role in shaping the course of American history. His life and leadership were characterized by determination, integrity, and a deep commitment to the ideals of liberty and independence. From his early years as a Virginia planter to his heroic military service during the American Revolution and eventually his presidency, Washington's journey exemplifies the qualities of a visionary leader who laid the foundation for a young nation. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, on a plantation in Westmoreland County, Virginia. His upbringing instilled in him values of honesty, hard work, and responsibility. Despite limited formal education, he was an avid reader and acquired knowledge through self-study. Washington's life took a significant turn when he received his first surveying commission at the age of 17, setting him on a path to become a skilled land surveyor. In 1752, Washington's older half-brother Lawrence passed away, leaving his Mount Vernon estate to George. This inheritance significantly improved his social standing and enabled him to enter Virginia's political and military circles. Washington's military career began during the French and Indian War when he served as a British officer. His courage, discipline, and tactical acumen earned him respect and recognition. The pivotal moment in Washington's life came when the American colonies rose in rebellion against British rule. In the Second Continental Congress, he was unanimously elected as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army in 1775. The American Revolution was a daunting task, with a relatively inexperienced army and scarce resources against the mighty British Empire. Washington's leadership was indispensable in keeping the Continental Army together during numerous defeats and hardships. His masterful tactics, as demonstrated during the surprise attack on Trenton and the subsequent Battle of Princeton, boosted morale and garnered support for the revolutionary cause. Despite facing setbacks, Washington's resilience and commitment to freedom never wavered, inspiring the troops and the American people to persevere. Following the victory in the American Revolution, Washington's support was instrumental in convening the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in 1787. His presence lent legitimacy to the proceedings, and his belief in a strong, unified federal government greatly influenced the creation of the United States Constitution. On April 30th, 1789, at the age of 57, George Washington was inaugurated as the first president of the United States in New York City, the nation's temporary capital. This solemn occasion set the precedent for the peaceful transfer of power, and Washington's acceptance of the presidency established the legitimacy of the newly formed federal government under the Constitution. Washington faced the daunting task of leading a nation with diverse interests and visions. The Constitution provided only a broad outline of the executive branch's powers, leaving much room for interpretation and defining the presidency's role in the federal government. With his characteristic humility and determination, Washington set out to define the powers and limitations of the presidency while respecting the separation of powers outlined in the Constitution. One of Washington's primary concerns as president was to establish a strong federal government capable of unifying the states and promoting national prosperity. His domestic policy focused on economic development and nation building. Alexander Hamilton, as Secretary of the Treasury, played a pivotal role in shaping Washington's economic policy. Hamilton's financial plan aimed to stabilize the economy and establish the federal government's credit. Washington supported Hamilton's proposal for the federal government to assume state debts, the establishment of the First Bank of the United States, and the imposing of tariffs to protect domestic industries. Despite opposition from Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, Washington signed these landmark pieces of legislation into law, setting the precedent for the federal government's role in economic affairs. Washington's foreign policy centered on maintaining neutrality and avoiding entangling alliances, consistent with his belief in the importance of preserving national unity. In the early 1790s, Europe was engulfed in conflict with France and Britain at war. Washington faced immense pressure to support the French in their revolution against Britain, but he chose a path of non-interference. In 1793, Washington issued the Proclamation of Neutrality, declaring the United States neutral in the European conflict. This decision reflected Washington's belief that the young nation should focus on internal development and avoiding involvement in distant wars. The proclamation set an important precedent for United States foreign policy, shaping the idea of avoiding permanent alliances and remaining neutral in international conflicts, a principle that would guide American foreign policy for much of its early history. Throughout his presidency, Washington confronted various domestic and foreign challenges that tested his leadership and the strength of the young republic. Among the most significant was the Whiskey Rebellion of 1794. In response to a federal excise tax on whiskey, farmers in western Pennsylvania staged a violent protest. Washington viewed the rebellion as a threat to the authority of the federal government and personally led a military force to suppress the uprising. His decisive action demonstrated the government's ability to enforce its laws, reinforcing the power and authority of the federal government. Additionally, the United States faced ongoing tensions with Native American tribes and the Spanish in the frontier territories. Washington pursued diplomatic measures to resolve these issues, signing treaties with the various tribes and negotiating with the Spanish to secure navigation rights on the Mississippi River. As Washington's second term came to an end, he chose not to seek re-election, setting an important precedent of limited presidential terms. Presidents honored this tradition until Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected to 4 terms. The 22nd Amendment was ratified in 1951 to prevent a person from being elected president more than twice. In his farewell address, delivered in September 1796, Washington offered valuable insights and warnings to the nation. He emphasized the importance of national unity and loyalty to the Constitution, urging Americans to avoid the dangers of political factions and geographical divisions. Washington also cautioned against the formation of political parties, believing they could threaten the unity of the young nation. Washington's legacy extends far beyond his political and military accomplishments. He became the symbol of national pride and unity, and his character and leadership qualities set the standard for future leaders of the United States. His name is synonymous with honor, sacrifice, and dedication to democratic principles. George Washington died at home in Mount Vernon on December 14, 1799, at the age of 67. George Washington's life is a testament to the power of leadership and the impact of one individual on the course of history. From his humble beginnings to his role as the first President of the United States, Washington's commitment to the principles of liberty, justice, and the rule of law laid the foundation for the American experiment. His leadership during the Revolutionary War and the early days of the Republic helped shape the nation's identity and united a diverse group of states under a common vision. Washington's legacy continues to be celebrated today as a symbol of America's resilience, determination, and devotion to the ideals of freedom and independence. As the father of his country, George Washington remains an enduring inspiration for future generations of Americans and leaders around the world. Thank you for watching the video. Hit the like and subscribe buttons, share with your friends, and if you would like to see a topic explored in a future video, then mention it down in the comments. Have a great day, and see you in the next episode of History in 10 Minutes or Less.